Welcome in to the All Clemson Tigers Recruiting Show. I am Jason Priester, allclemsontigers.com, part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform. Here today to talk a little bit of recruiting. Not a lot happening, with Clemson on the recruiting trail here of late. Doesn't mean things aren't happening elsewhere, though. Eddrick Houston, five-star defensive end out of Beaufort, Georgia, announces a commitment to Ohio State on Tuesday. A guy the Tigers had been in on for a long time, took multiple visits to Clemson over the past few years, over the past 12, 18 months, was on campus back for the big official visit weekend. Was on campus a couple of times before that in the offseason and a couple of games last year. Again, multiple visits, seemed like something kept bringing him back, but once he started taking those officials in June, seemed like he started to trend away from the Tigers. Not that I'm saying Clemson was ever the lead school. Big pickup for Ohio State, still leaves Clemson in search of one more defensive end in this class. The last defensive end to commit was Adam Kasaya. The only guy out there right now with an offer is Solomon Williams. We'll see if Clemson can get him in for a visit in the fall. I would absolutely have schools like Texas A&M, Alabama, maybe even Texas sitting in better shape with him right now. That's more of just a gut feeling than everything, but that's kind of how it feels to me right now. Hasn't been to Clemson since early in the year, didn't come for the big official visit weekend. So we'll see. I still think Elias Williams, a four-star guy, is a name worth monitoring as we move forward. He visited earlier this year, doesn't have an offer, but last time I checked in with him, he had been in communication with the coaching staff still and was talking about getting to campus for a visit at some point this fall. So that, again, Eddrick Houston commits to Ohio State on Tuesday. Again, still leaves Clemson in search of one more defensive end in this class. Also, another target of interest announced a commitment earlier on Tuesday. 2026 quarterback Julian Juju Lewis, the top quarterback in the 2026 recruiting class, will no doubt be a five-star when those rankings get updated, whenever that happens. He's already considered a top quarterback in that class. Worked out at Dabo Swinney's high school camp in the summer of 2022. Wasn't here this past summer of 2022. As everybody knows that follows recruiting, Clemson does not start offering kids until the summer before their junior seasons. So Lewis would have been a guy who was still, a year away from picking up an offer from Clemson. Put out his top schools list a few weeks ago. Clemson wasn't on it. No surprise there. Again, Clemson hasn't offered. I reached out to him back in the spring, seeing if maybe he was planning to stop by Clemson at some point in the spring or the summer, and he told me flat out no. He was just focusing on schools that had offered. Big get for Lincoln Riley out there at USC, and it surprises me a little bit that he pulled the trigger so early. But on the other hand, it's Lincoln Riley. We're talking about a guy who has developed, 3 Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks at this point, if I'm not mistaken. He's just has so much success developing quarterbacks. He's kind of considered the quarterback whisperer, if you will. And going ahead and securing his spot now will kind of let him fall in line behind Caleb Williams, Malachi Nelson, who's kind of next in line behind Williams. And once Nelson gets done, Lewis can slide on in and play. I have no idea where Clemson goes for a quarterback in 2026, man. We're a year away from those offers starting to go out. But Lewis is a guy that I get asked about from time to time. So I thought it was, at least worth discussing for a couple of minutes here today. Clemson's set up pretty well at quarterback for the next few years. You still have Cade Klubnik, a former 5-star who is just a sophomore. You have Chris Vezina, a former 5-star, who, if everything goes according to plan, will be a redshirt freshman next year. And then you don't take one in 2024, but you get a big time guy in 2025 in 4-star Blake Hebert, who I think is probably going to see his stock rise the further he gets into his high school career. After watching him work out at camp over the summer, kid's got all the tools. He is, I mean, his accuracy is on point. He's got the arm strength. There's just a whole lot to like about him. So I do think Clemson's set up well for quarterback in the next, few years. Probably would have made it hard to get in on Lewis to begin with if he'd have let if he would have let his recruitment play out, for another year or so. But it is what it is, again, 5-star 2024 defensive end Eddrick Houston commits to Ohio State today. 2026 quarterback Juju Lewis also announces commitment. He is USC bound, the Southern Cal variety of USC, that is. Don't forget, check us out, allclemsontigers.com. We'll have all the coverage in the lead up to the season opener against Duke. Got a lot of big things planned for the next week. Check us out.